All right, dude, you ready for this?
Let's get it.
What's your time prediction for my 5K today? Realistic.
17:45.
17:45. That's the time to beat, I guess. So let's pop this on, see what we can do. All right, so the reason I'm out here on a Friday morning running around my neighborhood for a 5K time trial is because I just finished up the Boston Marathon a few weeks ago, and my next goal is to see how fast I can get my 5K time down to. In high school, I started off as a freshman with a promising PR of 18:10, which isn't bad for a guy who hadn't quite hit puberty yet. The next year, I was able to bring that down just a little bit to 17:53 on my sophomore PR in cross country. And then my junior year, that was the year where my training really got quite serious. So my family had moved to Australia, and even though my high school did not have a running team, other than going to school, I spent most of my time training. This is when I did my very first, 10-mile plus runs. At steady state, I was doing intervals, I was doing speed work, and I was actually going to be moving back to Alaska to compete my senior year in cross country. That's when everything went wrong. I tried to do a 100-mile volume week, and I made it 3 days into that, and I did 50 miles those first 3 days, got a stress fracture, and ended up slower starting my senior year of cross country than I was starting my freshman year. So I never quite had the high school cross country season that I wanted to. By the end of my senior year, I was actually able to pick up a little bit of speed, make varsity. I actually was able to PR by just a few seconds. I think I finished out my senior year with a 17:49 PR in the 5K, which wasn't too bad considering, overcoming that injury and taking a number of months off of training. But it certainly wasn't the goal that I wanted. When I was in high school, my goal going into the senior year was to be the top 10 in the state of Alaska. And so now that I'm almost double that age, I'm in my 30s now. I've been running marathons the last few years, and I've never really tried to gain a lot of speed. So that's really what this video series is about. I'm going to try to go sub-17 over the next 17 weeks. So this is week 1. And I started off this week. I did my first real speed workout after a couple weeks of recovery after the Boston Marathon. And I did 25 200-meter repeats at mile pace around the track. That ended up being around 36-second average for those, which is just sub 5-minute pace. Not actually sure that I could run a sub 5 right now, but that was kind of the goal pace for that. But what I'm doing here in this workout today is essentially running a 5K time trial. This is something that I do at the beginning of almost every training block. It's a really good idea to not just estimate where your fitness and your speed is at, but it's really good to just go out and do the work and get a baseline. So that's really what the whole point of today is. At the beginning of my Boston Marathon training block, so this would have been about 5 months ago now, I ran a 17:50, and that was the fastest I had ever been at the beginning of a marathon block. And so I was, really surprised by that, but also that gave me a lot of accuracy in dialing in my training paces. And then about halfway through the training block, I was right in the thick of really high mileage. I went out and I did a local park run 5K, and I actually was able to set a new PR at that. I ran 17:30. And so really the goal of today is just to see how close to that 17:30 am I. Hopefully I'm not too much slower than that. My legs are certainly feeling a little bit of the fatigue from the speed workout I did at the track a couple days ago, but I'm just out today trying to just see where my fitness is at. So we're almost coming up on the 1 mile mark, and the weather's beautiful today. It's nice and sunny out, but it's not too hot yet. It's right in the mid-50s. But one thing I didn't really count on was the headwind. This very first mile is I'm headed west the entire time, and it's about a 10-mile-an-hour headwind, which I don't know if you can tell. The trees look pretty still, but I was certainly feeling it at this point, running straight into the wind. Coming up, I've got a turn into the parking lot, which will take me around the soccer fields. This is the classic 5K loop that I run basically from my front door. So just turning down here, I'm coming up on the 1 mile mark, and I haven't been looking at my watch too much, so I'm not really sure where the pace is going to come. And so I'm just hoping to see somewhere around the 5:30 mark. So I come through mile 1 and I see 5:31, and I think, okay, that's bang on, right on pace where I want to be. If I run 5:30s today, that'll be a great day. And essentially, I'm just trying to see, okay, how close to that 17-minute mark can I get today, so that 7 weeks from now, can I go sub-17, or how far under 17 minutes can I actually go? Today I'm wearing the Endorphin Elite shoes. These shoes only have about 50 miles in them. I did about 20 miles of just a couple different workouts, one longer run and one 5K run similar to this. And then these are the shoes I actually wore for the Boston Marathon. I loved running that race in these shoes. They're super lightweight. They have the Power Run HG foam, which is a super critical, high responsive foam. So they're comfortable, but they're also responsive. And so I've got those on. I'm actually wearing the Bandit half tights that I wore for that marathon as well, which I really enjoyed racing in those. Previously, I had only ever raced in shorts, and I actually just like the feel. Wind isn't making your shorts kind of flop around or anything like that. Just it's really nice to be able to feel fast when you're running. And so today I was just going out trying to give it a race effort. It's really difficult to give it a true race effort when you're on your own, but I appreciate my buddy Jake came out along with me to film this. I just picked up the Insta360 Go 3. It's a super small action camera that I'm hoping to get a lot more footage and start putting out more videos like this, videos about training, even videos talking about different aspects of running. If there's anything you want to know about running, if there's any questions, things you want me to explore, make sure you drop that in the comments below. But as I come around this bend, this is really a course that doesn't have a ton of turns, but just a few kind of sharper turns here. And other than kind of flipping around at the end of this parking lot, that'll be the last time that I take any major turns on this route. That's one of the reasons I really love this route. It's also very sparsely trafficked. I almost never see anyone else out here on this track, except for on Saturdays when there's soccer games. But today there's no soccer games, no cars in the parking lot, and so I've got the whole course to myself. And so as I'm coming around this corner, I'm going to jump up on the sidewalk, and I know I'm coming up on mile 2. Now, what's going through my head at this point is I'm starting to feel a little bit tired. Again, I'm still heading into that headwind, and you can see there's a slight uphill. I'm going to have to kind of turn and go uphill out of this parking lot. Again, it's not a major hill. It's nothing to write home about. But when your legs are tired, you're trying to go fast, you've got a headwind. You're starting to feel it a little bit. The only thing I'm thinking at this point is I'm super excited to turn this corner, and now I've got the tailwind. So almost immediately I can feel just the relief, starting to head home, getting closer to the home stretch, and I've got the wind at my back, the sun shining down, and I'm able to just find that smooth smooth rhythm and cadence. So I'm just trying to keep my arm swing nice and fast, keep that cadence up, and have a nice smooth stride so that I don't lock up, I don't get too tense or too tight, and just keep the breathing and the heart rate nice and low. So at this point, I know I'm getting close to 2 miles, and I'm not really sure where I'm at. I'm really hoping that I'm not creeping up into the 540s or the 550s. I'm hoping that, once again, I see something close to 530 on my watch, and that'll let me know that I am set up for today to be a nice fast time, maybe even within range of setting a new PR today. So I'm just moving along, and I'm waiting to hear that beep on the watch so I can look down and see where I'm at as far as my pace at mile 2. And there we go, mile 2, 5:35. At this point, if I had seen maybe a slower number, maybe 5:45, 5:50, I think I probably would have just coasted to the end. But the fact that I saw 5:35 there, I knew that I wasn't actually too far off the pace that I needed to be. A 17-minute 5K is 5:28. So at this point, I know as long as I can close within, that 5:30 range, as long as I don't slow down, and maybe even with the tailwind, slight downhill, I can even pick up the pace a little bit. I know that I should be able to get close to that 17-minute marker. At this point, with 1 mile to go, if you have any predictions for what my 5K time looks like, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. Would love to hear your race predictions. My buddy Jake, who's out here filming me on the bike today, super thankful for him, but truth be told, he didn't think I was going to hit a PR today. He was thinking, man, you've still got the marathon fatigue in your legs. You're going 17:45 today. So at this point, I'm guessing that Jake was probably second guessing his initial prediction, crunching the numbers, doing a little bit of math in his head. But let me tell you about the race that I'm going to be trying to go Sub-17 in. I'm not planning on running another 5K time trial or race until the middle of June. On June 15th, there's a local 5K called the Ruja Run Club 5K, and I want to invite anyone who's interested in signing up for that. You can learn more at Ruja, that's ruja.org/run. Ruja is a nonprofit that works in Uganda, and they have a school and a healthcare clinic, and the funds that are raised from this 5K are actually going to go towards building a church building that'll double as a community center in the city that Ruja operates. And so I'm super excited. I've done a few fundraisers. One of my great friends actually helps run Ruja, the nonprofit, and so I would invite anyone out. We're going to be out there at Julia Davis Park on June 15th, and over the next 7 weeks, really my goal is to drop my mileage down quite a bit from what I was doing with the marathon. One of the biggest things that takes time to build is essentially that aerobic base of just getting a lot of that fitness and that efficiency for your body to absorb oxygen and not get to the point where your heart rate is beginning to spike and your legs are filling with lactic acid. Actually, during this 5K time trial, my heart rate only maxed out at 163. And for most of this, I was actually in the mid 140s. So I'm happy to say that all of that marathon training, that aerobic training really paid off. And so although my heart rate is nice and low at this point, I'm still beginning to feel the fatigue. I'm starting to feel tired. And the training that I'm planning on doing really over the next 7 weeks is not a ton of mileage. I think I wrote out my training plan. I think I'm maxing out at around 60 or 65 miles for the week, which is still enough to keep that good aerobic fitness. But I'm doing a lot of shorter workouts, a lot of 200, 400, 800 meter repeats. I'm doing a lot of mile repeats. And really all of these are going to be not at target marathon pace, which is what most of my training was like in the last training block, but at target 5K pace. So really I'm starting to dial down those paces and starting to try to really run a lot of these reps at 520, 525 pace. And that's really why a workout like today is so important, is to just to see how realistic is it that I could do 3 or 4 mile repeats in the 520s. Because if I can do a 5K today averaging around 5:30, I can drop 5-10 seconds off that mile pace if I'm doing a little bit of recovery in between. So today is really helping me align my expectations for the training block so I can train smart and not go out too hard, go out too fast, and kind of dig myself into a hole, but that I can actually run accurate paces. So at this point, you're going to see me checking my watch quite a bit. I'm checking my watch to see the pace that I'm going, to see where my heart rate's at. Essentially, I'm looking because I know at this point I'm just a few hundred meters away from the finish. I'm about to see that mile 3 clocking on my watch. I'm just waiting to hear that beep and see where I'm at. And once I get the go-ahead from that pace, there it is, mile 3, 5:27. So this is my fastest mile. I got a negative split going. I know that I just got 0.1 to go. And so I'm trying at this point. I'm looking down at my watch because my watch isn't going to tell me when I hit 3.1 miles. So I need to stop it at just the right time, and I'm squeezing, I'm pushing. You can see my cadence pick up. I'm pumping those arms. I'm trying to get everything out of this last 0.1 miles that I can. And just up here, right as I hit these shadows, you're going to see that's the 5K mark. And I'm tired. Let's see how we did.
Where we at?
17:08.
Holy smokes, dude. That ain't right.
Thanks, bro.
My goodness.